Morning, Team Alabama. We are ready for Chapter 13 in Stuck in Neutral. Remember, the poem is at the beginning of each chapter, and so this is Chapter 13 of Stuck in Neutral. Dad had just gone on the Alice Pond show, and Sean was worried that Dad really does want to kill him, and Paul said, well, he'd have to come through me first. And then Sean told the story about remembering the day when two boys tried to beat up Sean and Paul stood up for him. So he knows that Paul would be the person to try and save him. Chapter 13. Sean and I are alone in the darkness. Sean and I are alone. We are disappearing. We are disappearing. It's been 5 days since the Alice Pond show. 5 days. I can't stop thinking about my dad. Is my father going to kill me? When? How? What's going to happen? It's Friday afternoon. Yesterday, Paul got on a bus with his teammates and drove 300 miles to Spokane to play in a basketball tournament this weekend. He was really excited. Tomorrow morning, Saturday, Mom will go to Spokane too, driving Cindy and a couple of her girlfriends over to watch the mighty Spartans take on the Fighting Knights of Spokane's Thompson High School. I'm having trouble getting caught up in this rah-rah spirit. Dad's Alice Pond's appearance has me pretty freaked out. Negativity. I've almost always been able to avoid it. Right now, I'm floating in an ocean of it. I try not to think about dying, but it keeps coming back into my mind. I bet condemned guys on death row feel like this terrible, hopeless. My stomach is empty. My chest struggles to catch a breath. My thoughts are racing. I don't want to feel sorry for myself. Negativity and self-pity are useless, mostly all my life. I've relied on humor and remembering good stuff to get me through each day. To me, my laughter and memory have always been the best things to fight off worry. And after all, when you're talking memories, I am the king. Right now, I can't shut my memories down. My life races through my brain, and I remember everything. I can't even slow my brain down. I remember Christmas morning when I was 6 years old. I woke up to the sounds of Paul and Cindy in the living room. It might have been the last Christmas all three of us were still pretty much little kids. Lying in my crib, I could hear Cindy and Paul laughing. I'd hear the slightest rip and the rustling of wrapping paper and the ooh and the ah in loud, excited whispers. And then I'd hear them tear a piece of Scotch tape from the little plastic dispenser. They were sneaking peeks at all their gifts and then taping the presents shut again. How many of you have done the same thing? Peeked at some gifts? Okay, that's when you make a connection, a text-to-text connection, or a text-to-self connection, or a text-to-world connection. And when the book reminds you of something you've done yourself, that's a text-to-self connection. So, and when one book reminds you of another book, that's a text-to-text connection. All readers do those kinds of things when they read. They make those connections. They think, oh, what are some new things I've just learned? And they ask themselves questions. All of those things make you a better reader as you keep reading. I remember lying there in my crib and a robin, very fat, came and landed on the sill outside my window. I saw him through a small crack between the curtains. He was parked right in the middle of the opening, staring in at me. He seemed to know what was going on, like he was a member of the Christmas morning bird police. He seemed to be asking me whether or not we should bust Cindy and Paul. I knew it couldn't be true, but it felt true. I thought to the robin, let's just let them go this time. And the robin winked at me and then flew away. I remember. If you're reading along on your Chromebook, we're on page 97 in chapter 13. I remember when I was 8, Dad and Mom took the three of us kids to the Seattle Center, to the Pacific Science Center. Cindy and Paul had been begging to go to the virtual reality attraction. If you waited in line for 40 minutes, you could put your on headgear, step into this twirly machine and fly through the cosmos. After Cindy and Paul had each had their turns, I figured we'd leave, but Dad said, Sean's turn. The guy running the ride looked at me and in my wheelchair and said, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know how we'd put a wheelchair in this. Dad gave the guy one of his best Sidney E. McDaniel Madman Poet stares. This was in his pre-Pulitzer era, and Dad looked a lot more mad back then. And Dad said, I wasn't interested in taking the wheelchair for a ride. He lifted me out like I weighed 1 ounce and demanded, strap me in, I'll hold him. The guy running the show was tall and thin, wearing a green Science Center polo shirt. I don't know. Come on, buddy, my dad said, like the guy'd been his best friend for 20 years. You know the drill. No guts, no glory. This kid and I are one turn. Look. Dad walked over to the machine and began, and before the guy could say another word, Dad, talking nonstop, stepped into the harness, holding me all the while and never giving the attendant a chance to say no again. This'll be great, Dad said. Nobody wants a lawsuit over failure to serve the handicapped. Everybody is happy. Everybody wants to have fun. This is great. We're having some fun now. Great. Now, I'll just strap in and we'll put this headgear jobby right on Sean's noggin here, noggin being head, and we're all set. And by the time the guy could get a word out, Dad and I were already strapped into the contraption, and Dad reached out, grabbed the headgear from the guy, and put it on me. In the next moment, I whirled through time and space, and stars shot past me, and the galaxy unfolded, and light and darkness and speed. Fantastic! The best part of all, though, I loved the feeling of my dad's arms around me, holding me tight as we spun and twisted over our way through the universe. I remember all my reactions to all the music that I've ever heard. Songs, melodies, symphonies. I remember images too. Van Gogh's crows in a cornfield, Hopper's Nighthawks, Picasso's Guernica, and Mary Randalette's photographs of water-caressing stones. I remember the faces, the voices, the hands and hearts of artists and poets, actors and ditch diggers, cops and grocers, the guy who reads our electric meter. I remember Ken Burns' baseball, Mom's Charlie perfume, Cindy's laughter and her smile, and the blood that time on Paul's hands, and all the times I heard his laugh and the thump of his feet as he ran up the stairs. The dings of the telephone, the snap of the drum, the morning paper hitting the porch. I remember Allie's pretty face, William's strong arms, Becky's soft smile. Winky, winky, winky. My life moves across the back of my eyes, across the middle of my ears, and everything I've ever dreamed, seen, smelled, heard, desired, loved, hated, been scared of, wished I could touch. I remember all of it. Memories is all we have. For ourselves and for the people we love. The memories of us once we die are all that's left of us. When I'm gone, maybe someone will pick up my dad's poem, Sean, and maybe it will be a year after I'm dead, maybe 2 years, maybe 200 years. Maybe that person will read the poem and be moved and think they know me. Whom will they know? What will they know? Will that edition carry a special note explaining that Sidney E. McDaniel, the author of the poem, killed his son? Will the reader know that Dad or me any better? If I'm anything at all, you'd have to agree that I am a memory. Will anyone ever know that my life once lived and then over was one of perfect remembering? No one will know. No one will know me. I'm just not ready to give up the hope that someday I might be known. I'm not ready. End of chapter 13. Have a great rest of your day, Team Alabama.